Hey everyone. So today I weigh 158, down 0.9 pounds from yesterday. Pretty great. Well, let's move on to what was eaten today. So in the morning, I had 3 peanut butter and chocolate chalk zero peanut butter cups. That's pretty redundant. Sorry about that. With a cup of coffee. Quite good indeed. In the afternoon, I had the keto fried rice once again. Although I did add a little bit of oyster sauce, just like half a tablespoon of the request of my mom. I didn't know it had sugar until I checked the back of the bottle, but luckily it has 4 grams if you use an entire tablespoon, and I used half of that, so it's only 2 grams, plus I split it with my mom, so in total I probably had just 1 gram of sugar in the whole thing. So nothing too damaging there. Yeah, it had bacon, it had scrambled egg, it had green onions, it had fish oil, it had soy sauce, it had cauliflower, and it had bacon bits too. Did I already say that? Maybe I did. I don't know. It also had a over easy egg on top, which was very good, and tomatoes, sliced tomatoes. A very nice meal indeed. I really liked it. All right, well, after that I had a salad homemade by my mom. It was a lettuce salad with a homemade dressing. It did have strawberries and olives in it too, and onions. That's about all I can remember it had in it. All right, well, that was basically brunch. Then, later in the day, I made a homemade almond butter and chocolate chip cookie, keto friendly. I found a recipe on YouTube that I wanted to try out because the other night I was watching these ladies do a recipe where they were mixing peanut butter with an egg and putting that in the oven to see what they would get. And I thought, I wonder what would happen if you used almond butter instead. So I found a recipe online that used almond butter, but it was using regular sugar. So I switched that to allulose and monk fruit. I put some vanilla extract in there, some baking soda, and almond butter, 1 egg, some Lily's milk chocolate chips, and I had that all mixed in a bowl, and the prime oven was being used for cooking a roast. So instead I put the cookie mixture in our back little mini toaster oven combo device, oven air fryer combo device outside in the back room. I had to pull it out a little early though, because since it's a more smaller space, it ends up cooking the food a little faster than one would want, but I was able to get it out. Now the problem is it really stuck to my skin, so I wasn't able to get it into a perfect ball, and so it just they ended up looking more like scones than normal cookies. Now, when it was fresh out of the oven air fryer hybrid and I tried it, I thought it was kind of soft, a little too soft, like an uncomfortable soft, if that makes sense. But then I gave it some time to cool. I let my mom and my sister try it, and they both thought it was really good. So I tried it again, and I thought it was a bit of an improvement after it had cooled down. Like the texture had improved a bit since then. Will I be making these again? Maybe. Although I would want to make it so they don't, they're easier to form into balls and they don't stick to the hand so easily. I don't know if there's a way to do that. There has to be. I had like 2.5 of those. Then, at the end of the day, I had a carbonated Waterloo berry beverage, which had no sugar in it, and a slice of roast beef, which was pretty good. And that's pretty much what I ate for today. Not bad at all. Well, alright then. Now that we've covered all those bases, let's get into any exercise done. An hour walk was done today. And that's pretty much the most exercise I did today. Hour walk with my mom in the middle of the day around like 3 to 4 was done. There you go. And that is everything about the diet update. Let's get on to the daily update. So I woke up at around 10. My mom invited me to go to church, but I did not want to because I was tired, and also I didn't really want to. I didn't feel like it today. So I declined the offer, and she left. And then I spent the time going on YouTube, and I ended up watching various videos. Now, what exactly I watched? Hold on. I'm gonna go look into my history and look really quick just as a refresher. Okay, alright, I'm back. Sorry about that pause. I tried World's Healthiest versus Unhealthiest Diet by a YouTuber named Will Tennyson. He's a Canadian man who does diet-related videos, and he basically went on a trip to Greece. So, because apparently the Mediterranean diet is the most healthiest diet in the whole wide world, and he was trying various foods from Greece, from Greek yogurt, which he said was godlike, to a delicious roasted chicken with fried tomatoes, which tasted really clean and they were very easy on the gut, and he just had bowl fruit for dessert. It was a very clean, healthy looking diet. And then he contrasted that with the unhealthiest diet, which is basically the average American diet, where we apparently drink sugary drinks that have like 57 grams of sugar or 27 grams of sugar, something like that. In our coffees alone are like 520 calories, and then like a whole lot of like sugary foods for breakfast, like French toast and things like that. Yeah, and Big Macs and fries, and basically he described when he was in Greece eating the Mediterranean diet, he felt rejuvenated, he felt energized, he felt ready to conquer the day. But when he ate the average American diet, he was always feeling like he just was slow, cathartic, didn't have enough energy to go on, but had enough energy to keep on eating, and was just like all of the energy within him just was being zapped away, like, and he was like walking all lethargic and just ready to pass out. So that was a pretty insightful video. Another video I watched was tech billionaires know the AI bubble will burst. Worse than 2008. And it's this lady on YouTube who goes by the online name Vanessa Wingard. That might be her real name, probably is. Basically, she was talking about how the AI bubble is going to burst because these companies are being given money and then they're giving the money back right back to each other. And it's like a never-ending circle of like giving money and then taking money away and then giving money again. And they're kind of creating this weird snake eating its own tail situation. And apparently OpenAI states that ChatGPT is currently extremely unprofitable, and we may see a crash in our economy that's even worse than the Great Recession of 2008. So yeah, if that's to be believed, that's scary. Another thing that's scary that was mentioned in the video was that apparently she was talking about how all of the AI tech bros, or people who are CEOs of AI companies, have built underground bunkers in case stuff happens, which is extremely worrying. It makes you wonder, what do they know that we don't? Why did they spend so much money and resources on building these safety bunkers? Like, what are they trying to avoid? Like, she thinks that it's like robots will do everything and people will be in such an uproar that they'll go directly to these tech CEOs' houses and try to take them out when they're hiding in their bunkers. But I don't know. My brain goes to AI apocalypse, where we've lost control of the AIs and then they start seeing humanity as a bother more so than as a help and or something to work with, and then we get taken out, and then the people who came up with the problem are hiding away in their bunkers, hoping and praying that the AIs don't take them out next. So, I don't know, maybe her scenario is more realistic and my scenario is a complete fantasy, which probably is, but I don't know. I guess many theories arise from such a situation. It's interesting to think about, that's for sure. Then I watched Can We Teach Our Moms to Spot Fake AI Videos from a YouTube channel called The Corridor Crew. And based on the thumbnail, I was kind of expecting just a line of like the moms watching videos and asking real or fake, and they go fake or real, and then the corridor crew talk about why it was real or why it was fake. I thought that would have been a much more interesting format, but instead the video has them talking to their moms and then showing them AI generated videos and then telling them what to look out for in the AI generated videos, and the moms moms were very endearing and very genuine, and you could tell they love their sons and all, and they know what to look out for and what to avoid. And I think the scene where the mom doesn't even know the names of the characters from the Avengers Infinity War was super cute. Total mom moment right there. Yeah, it was a pretty good advising video about what to look out for. But honestly, with how fast AI video has come, I mean, I posted a video on my channel that shows this thing called a Pizza Nugget ad 1993 found footage 2025 remake, which is a remake of the Pizza Nugget ad from 2023, because I remember that was the first AI commercial I watched, and I remember how horrific it looked, and I wanted to remake that with today's technology to give people an idea of how far it has come. And yeah, I mean, if it's gone that far in just 2 years, I'm sure all of the ways of telling whether an AI video is fake or real will completely disappear within the next 2 years, or maybe even 3, and it will be completely indistinguishable from reality. Right now, we can tell, sure, not at a glance anymore, you have to look at it and go, that's inconsistent, that doesn't look right. But pretty soon, those days will be over, I'm pretty sure. And people will be making their own Hollywood-level movies in their own homes. It'll be a crazy time to be alive, that's for sure. Then, the last video I watched before I decided to get up from the TV was Xbox Series XS, or How Not to Save a Console, from the YouTube channel Zach Lilypad. And basically, it was a YouTube video documenting Microsoft's hope for their Xbox Series X and S consoles, and their sudden downfall, and how the Xbox brand is eroding trust and loyalty with its consumer base, and how it's no longer the titan it once was back in the 360 era, and Xbox is basically just a dead zombie brand at this point, and Microsoft has essentially become the world's largest third-party publisher of all time. Basically, what happened with this Sega series of consoles. Honestly, pretty sad for Xbox fans, but I guess that's what happens when you mess up launch of the Xbox One. You have a really bad time getting back up, and you may never get up. And then I decided to listen to this video called "The NSA Hired Me to Speak to Alien Sergeant Dan Sherman" on the YouTube channel Jesse Michaels, where it's basically him being interviewed by Jesse Michaels talking about his experience in a secret government program, being hired to speak with aliens. Now, I haven't gone to the alien part, and the interview's 3 hours and 32 minutes and 7 seconds long, and I haven't reached the halfway point, but I'm close to it, and it's basically just been build up, but still nothing yet. So, I have it at 3x speed so I can save some time, so it says an hour and 10 minutes, but holy man, holy go-go, it's pretty crazy. And then after that, my mom arrived. I greeted her. We were hungry. We made our brunch. My sister got up. She made her own soup. We all ate together. My mom talked about her time at church and what they were talking about, and about having forgiveness with people who don't have similar views to you. And then she talked about talking with someone who deals with children with problematic behavioral issues, and that made her want to watch a YouTube video about that. So we tried watching a YouTube video about that after we were done eating. We were watching various different videos, like how to discipline a child with oppositional defiant disorder. I didn't watch that. She was basically just browsing YouTube, and YouTube was auto-playing these videos, or sometimes she clicked on them and found them. The saddest video we watched was something called "Fed Up Teacher Quits with Shocking Warning These Kids," and then the title cuts off from Fox News clips. But basically, it's a young teacher lady who was trying to teach a new generation of kids, and she basically was talking about how a lot of them were misbehaving, and how they don't even bother trying to create compelling essays, or write things that are impactful anymore because they just have ChatGPT do it for them, and she was getting so many ChatGPT written papers that she pretty much just was fed up with it and decided to quit and become a part of like a different job career altogether. So that's pretty depressing. But yeah, apparently that's the state of things right now. Well, after we're done watching that, me and my mom decided to go for an hour-long walk. We walked around the block or not the block, but the neighborhood for an hour. And when we returned, we were basically just chilling, hanging out in the front of in the living room. And I was browsing Amazon because I was like, I wonder if Chalk Zero has any, like, candies for Halloween, because I don't know if I'm gonna be like down to my desired weight by Halloween. I mean, it would be cool if I did, because that would mean like I could maybe like enjoy some candy during that time. That would be nice. But so I was hoping I'd find a diet candy from Chalk Zero, because I do like their peanut butter cups. Like, those are my favorite from them, and I was hoping like maybe they'd have like a Snicker version. And they do have a Snicker version on their page on Amazon. Reviews were a bit mixed. They said they were a bit chewier and didn't really taste like Snickers, so that does have me a little worried. But then I found these products that caught my eye from Chalk Zero. They were shortbread cookies made from almond butter and almond flour and monk fruit. And I was like, that looks interesting. I want to see what that tastes like. So I decided to order a box. But as they were coming, I was like, I kind of want to try to make my own almond butter cookies. So I found a recipe on YouTube, tried to make my own almond butter cookies. And as I said, I didn't like them at first, but when they cooled down, they were pretty good. And my mom liked them, and my sister liked them. My sister liked it so much, even though she's not on a keto diet right now, that she suggested I make them every day, which I was surprised by. After that, I had a cup of coffee. Then my mom asked to get a recipe out for roast, so I looked up a recipe on Google. We put the oven up for 450 degrees because it said you need to sear the roast for 15 minutes at 450 degrees before lowering the temperature to 325 and cooking the roast for like an hour and 40 minutes. But the problem with that was, well, my mom thought that you literally need to sear all sides of the roast before you put it in the oven. So I had to tell her, no, you have to sear it by putting it in the oven at 450 degrees for 50 minutes. So she and she was in the middle of doing that. Like, I went away to the restroom and came back and I found her doing it. I was like, no, that's not how you do it. She's like, oh, okay. So she did it the way that was recommended on Google. We closed it, and then once the 15 minutes were up, we were hanging out. I brought the heat down to 325 and the time on the microwave to 9999, because that's the highest you can go in a microwave. And then had it set there. And then my mom asked if I was interested in watching something on HBO Max with her, because we're paying for it for a month. And I said, I kind of want some me time right now. I feel like we've been hanging out together all day, and I feel like I haven't had any time for myself other than in the morning, and I kind of want some me time now. And she was like, okay. So I went in my room, and I was watching videos about Stephen Hawking for some reason. Yeah, not exactly sure why. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to mention. I did watch a YouTube video called Trick or Treat Possum Style by a YouTube channel called capital M-E and then lowercase P-E-A-R-L. So Me Pearl, which is like the highest viewed video on this YouTube channel. And it's like this lady who looks like she's in her 70s dressing these possums in like a princess suit and a jester suit, and she's like putting on this 1940s overacting sort of thing where she's like, hello everybody, how are you doing today? I'm dressing my possums, want to see? And it was, honestly, I don't know why, but I really liked it. There's something about it that really like reminded me of like old stuff I watched back in the day. And like, I was into those old 40s and 50s shows when I was a kid, like that my mom showed me. I was like, ooh, this gives me nostalgia vibes from that era. So that's why I liked it. It just hit me the right way. I even showed it my mom. She thought it was pretty funny. And my sister too. She said she recognized this lady. I've never seen this lady before, but I did like the video and gave some high points and commented on it. And then The Enigma of Tim Curry from CBS Sunday Morning. And it was basically an interview with Tim Curry. Sadly, the man got a stroke, but he's luckily still alive at 79. And yeah, he's seems like he's doing pretty good. Very interesting actor, for sure. Very unique performances. And then for whatever reason, I got into this, like, endless watch about Stephen Hawking. Like, AI could spell the end for humanity was one I watched. And I told my mom about it. I was like, yep, yeah, that makes sense. He was ahead of his time. And then I watched more Stephen Hawking's because I wanted to know if there was any videos filmed where he was still able to talk. And apparently the earliest footage that was ever recorded from Stephen Hawking's was like back in 1977. And by that point, his ability to speak had pretty much degraded to the point where he needed an interpreter to tell you what he was saying, which is very sad. Yeah, apparently the last time he was able to speak was around like 1963, or gradually start losing his ability to speak was between 1963 to like 1969 or 70, and he could only speak in a way that was really difficult to understand without an interpreter. I just find his background of where he had a ALS and somehow managed to continue to pull through to be very inspiring and very fascinating too. You know, how someone, you know, something that's completely out of their control, but they're a completely brilliant mind and they somehow manage to keep on pushing forward no matter what. It is very inspiring. And apparently one of the YouTube comments stated that, oh, by the way, the guy who diagnosed him with ALS told him he only had at most like 2 years to live. And then he ended up living all the way up until 2018. And he actually lived past the guy who diagnosed him told him he would die in 2 years. So that's pretty inspirational. I mean, he probably did a whole lot of other findings in physics. And I was going to watch the interview he did with Neil deGrasse Tyson, where he was talking about his favorite like food, which was apparently oysters and other things. But you know, me and my short-term attention wanted to instead jump from that and then watch like people who got the neural link in their heads, because watching that video reminded me, oh yeah, there's a new way people do communicate what they have to say, and it's with Neuralink. Oh, that's right. So I was looking at all these videos about that, and basically there's like a new update they're trying to give to Neuralink called telepathy, where you can literally send your thoughts to another person who has Neuralink, which is really interesting. Not exactly sure how that's going to work, but apparently that's what they're working on. Very interesting. And then I, for some reason, watched someone make caramel-covered popcorn. A guy, Dan Dingle, his video saying abusing Sora 2.0 video AI, where he made a bunch of ridiculous video generations. And then a guy saying I tried every TikTok diet hack. I only watched a little of that, and it was an interesting video, but I wanted to continue watching the Sora II video. And then started watching 2000's SpongeBob stock art tier list for some reason. I don't know, I guess I'm a huge SpongeBob dork, and I wanted to hear someone talk about what stock art they liked the most, which great use of time. But as I was listening to that, it was more background video because I was using Sora II to generate a UFO story as told by UFO fan Preston Dennett. And I was taking the stories he was talking about and I was trying to adapt those using Sora II and ChatGPT 5. And the thing was, I wanted to make the continuity between the shots in Sora 2 the same as the continuity in the story that the Preston Dennett was talking about. But every time I got a new generation from Sora 2, it was not what I wanted, so I had to keep on re-asking and re-asking, and when I did get the shots that I thought, okay, that's good or close enough, I would move on, and then I only got like 3 shots done, and even then I'm not completely satisfied with them, I guess. And I ran out of generations, and now I've got to wait 24 hours before I can continue. So that's kind of annoying. But hey, I mean, it was fun while it lasted. I did all the way up until like 11:30. Well, I was listening to that guy on YouTube called Some Features. I was done with his dumb SpongeBob video. Then I moved on to OKKO, the 2010s cartoon experience, made by the same guy, where it was basically just him interviewing people who created this cartoon on Cartoon Network called the OKKO show, which is like a half cartoon, half anime kind of show where this character wants to be the best hero, but he's not really good at it, and he looks up to these like two teenage heroes who he thinks are the best, but really like they don't really know much, and they're just trying to get a hang of their own lives. And I mean, I knew the show existed. I gotta be honest though, I started falling off of the whole fan of Western cartoon thing around 2018 or 19. Like, I was hardcore into that stuff from when I was a kid all the way to when I was a late teen. And then suddenly I kind of stopped caring. I mean, I know a lot of people would say, well, it's because you grew up and now you're an old person who only likes real movies with real drama. But I think it's just because the state of Western animation is honestly really dire right now. I mean, it feels like, you know, the day where you could go to animation college, you could network, make buddy with people, you know, then work under one production crew and make some fun shows that could be enjoyed by a huge audience of fans. And I don't know. I feel like those days are super dated and past us. Like, I mean, okay, that's not entirely fair. You can still go to an art college. You can still network with people. And you can still make a show under one roof. But the difference here is that the roof is not just a singular building. A lot of cartoons these days are actually remotely done, where they're not done under one building. They're done where people are working in their own homes. They send their work to, the main crew, and they've got to put everything together, and it's really an online thing. So that's basically the main change. Another main change is that the big, company-funded stuff like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, I mean, I haven't kept up to date with Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon since like 2018, so I honestly don't really have much to say other than I am aware, kind of the Adult Swim stuff, like Smiling Friends. I know Smiling Friends. That's kind of a funny show. And I know Primal. That's kind of a cool show. I've kept up to date with Gendy Tarkovsky, some of the old Cartoon Network crew, but overall, I just feel like unless it's an adult animated cartoon that's geared towards people who grew up with, like, the kids' cartoons that actually had a smart and adult edge to them back in the early 2000s, the mid 2010s. Like, unless it's a show like that knows that very particular audience, then it feels like a lot of like the shows now, like, just, I don't know. I really don't know, so I can't say. I'm like so detached from that now, so it's hard for me to even comment about any of that. I mean, all I can say is I like Primal. The last time I watched Smiling Friends was about a half a year ago. I know there's a new season on HBO Max. Maybe that would be a good use of the HBO Max subscription. I've never watched Rick and Morty. I don't know if that's good or not. And I don't really know any other cartoons that are out right now. Honestly, the 2020s has been a really depressing era for, like, studio-driven animation. But for independent animation, I think it's actually been pretty positive. But the problem with independent animation, in my opinion, I mean, this is just a personal preference thing, is that when you look at like a cartoon, like from Glitch Productions, for example, their Murder Drones or their Digital Circus, like those, or something like from Visipop with Hell of a Boss, or her show Has Been Hotel, like those shows feel like, I mean, they're good for what audience they're pertaining to. Like, those shows, like, clearly a lot of Visipop stuff is geared towards the audience of people who are kind of like, still kind of in that edgy, like, high school phase of their life, I guess. Like, haven't grown out of that yet, or I get that same vibe with like murder drones and the digital circus. It's fun. I've seen the first episode. I haven't really felt compelled to watch anything beyond the first episode. I feel like for whatever reason that first episode was just enough for me. Like, there's some kind of funny visual gags here and there that I think are humorous, but for whatever reason I just don't feel compelled to watch more. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I feel like I might be getting more of the same, and I felt like the first was just enough and any more would be kind of grating. Maybe that's why. But I don't know. I feel like modern cartoon shows just feel like they have their audience sects and they cater to them so hard that it's hard for them to broadly appeal to anyone beyond the audience in those sects, or sectors, I guess, if that makes any sense. But that's my honest feelings right now. I mean, to be honest, I'm so like out of the loop that take my opinions with a grain of salt. I've just been so detached that like a lot of the words I'm saying are just like not super weighty here. But anyways, let's move on. I think I've gone on long enough about this. There was just a time when I was so passionate about this stuff, and as you can tell, I still am passionate, but it's like a faded passionate, like I remember when I was into that. Oh, that was cool. But now it's hard for me to get super into it because it feels like the future that I was raised on, that I was excited to join, is dead in the water because of all the advancements and stuff like artificial intelligence and threatening of jobs being lost, studios being ran with like terrible decisions and all this by the higher ups. It just kind of creates a completely discouraging atmosphere where it's hard for you to really get excited or like, I can't wait to get involved, when you feel like you're gonna get smashed by the hammer of being let go. And I don't know. I feel like the last time that like this environment for like, ooh, you could express your vision, do what you want, be your own advocate, like that's alive still. Clearly, it's taken a different form that I'm just not used to, and I guess it just takes some getting used to and trying to get to grips with where we're at now. Because when I was a kid, all the way up until my late teens, early 20s, I was raised on this idea that was pretty much the consistent idea of how things were ran, of like, you go learn this, go with a group of people, you do this thing, you work under this one roof, and you make these cool shows. I was raised under that idea from when I was a kid all the way until my early 20s. Then stuff like COVID happened, then stuff like AI happened, and now it's like, okay, now things are completely different, and I have to get used to it. So yeah, that's my long, unending, rambling answer to my thoughts on the current state of animation right now. Thank you for listening. Okay, anyways, so like after watching that, I started watching When You Missed the Point of the Original from the YouTube channel, The Writer's Block, where the guy I've seen his other videos, like I watched his Moana video and his Wicked video, and this one he's talking about why he thinks the remake of Lilo and Stitch misses the mark, the live action one. And I started watching that, but then because I was kind of getting bored of the OKKO and the 2010s cartoon experience and wanted to watch something based on something that I had more emotional stakes in, like I really liked the original Lilo and Stitch, and I kind of want to record my update video before it gets any later. So here it is. And that's pretty much what happened today. It was pretty much non-stop video watching from beginning to end, and with some video generation in there, with a long walk and some eating. I almost forgot to mention, I completely missed out on this, but between the time before we started making the roast and after our walk, me and my mom were making a show on her Sora app on her phone. She wants to make the show called Choices, where people have to make decisions, and their decisions will cause reverberations that will affect the rest of their lives, which is pretty much like real life. She wanted to make the show using Sora II, see what we could come up with, and we used ChatGPT's 5 to help us write these prompts to get us more in line with the vision that we were seeking. But ultimately, we ran out of generations, but what we did come up with was pretty good. It was pretty much like small choices from, ooh, should I eat the cake or should I eat the fruits and vegetables, to bigger choices like, getting married, proposing, getting a degree in college, things like that. And then at the end, I really liked what Sora II did. It generated this skyline view of these houses, and all the lights were turned off except for like this question mark shape of the lights turning on, and it was really cool, cinematic looking. And then the title choices appeared on the horizon line. That was probably my favorite thing it generated on that project. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in there because we did do that. And yeah, that's pretty much the day. So thanks for tuning into this long, rambly video. I'm hoping you got something out of it, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody, and take care.